Now, over to game two. Game two, Aces win 91-78. And like, this is again where it comes into play, where the Phoenix is only good for one half. But furthermore, go back to my point, is the Aces have too much firepower that the Phoenix halfers will not be able to overcome. So, game two, Aces won 91-78. Asia Wilson gives you 28-14, and that 28-14 came by way of her scoring 20 points in the first half. That's a lot of damn firepower. That's a lot of yeesh, like, how do we try to find the answer that nobody has had? How do we try to find the answer to stopping Asia that nobody has had? Like, how do we stop the MVP? Mind you, I just said she had a light, emphasis on light. She had a light 21-10 in game one. But then game two, she give you 20 in the first half. Y'all don't have, you do, I will say you do have firepower to match that because of the capabilities of Kalia Copper in that game. Kalia Copper, she gave you 15 in the first half. So you do have the capabilities to try to match a 20-point half. But that doesn't supplement or cancel out the rest of the team and what the rest of the team is producing for you if you're trying to find points, if you are the Phoenix halfers. So Asia gives you 20-point half, and the the Aces are only up by 9. Good spot. We gave up a 20-point half to one player, and we only down 9. Like, let's keep chugging along. We know if at some point Asia goes cold or we just try to tighten up on defense, we can still stick around long enough to like try to make a run. Okay, cool, bet. And in that first half, Alyssa Thomas, she had 8 points. Alyssa Thomas had 8 points in that first half. This is pretty great in terms of scoring for Alyssa Thomas, who's like a facilitator. Everybody would think that. The Phoenix Halfers strike again. After giving you 8 points in the first half, Alyssa Thomas goes on in the second half to give you a whopping total of 2 points, shooting 1 of 2 from the field. Only taking 2 shots in the second half when you're down 1-0. Alyssa Thomas only took 2 shots. Only took 2 shots. And you know what that was very, 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 very reminiscent of? Game one versus the Lynx, the last series. She started off that game going 8 of 14 from the field, giving you 16 points in the first half, where she proceeded to go on in the second half and only give you 2 points. So time and time again, we keep seeing these scenarios where 1 or 2 of the big 3 from the Phoenix halfers, they're great for one half with their scoring. In the second half, they die off with their aggressiveness or just being inefficient. They don't have a strong bench. Monique at their point guard, Natasha Mack being in the starting lineup. We know these are not high usage players. I don't think you should be expecting them at any given moment when you need a hope and a prayer to pull 16, 15 to like 20 points out of thin air. So you gotta keep your foot on the gas. You gotta constantly be aggressive if you are the Phoenix halfers, in terms of just like giving your team a chance and making sure like you're finding ways to score. But for some reason, the Aces have not been able to find the ability to put 2 great halves worth of a game together, and it's just gonna constantly shoot them in the foot. It's just gonna constantly shoot them in the foot, man. Yeah, it's going to constantly shoot them in the foot. Cannot stress that enough. And then again, Satu Sabley, she gives you 4 points in the first half, but she runs off to give you 18, going 6 of 11 from the field in the second half. Finishing with 22 and 9. That's great, but you gotta every second, every possession when you have no room for error, if you are the Phoenix Havers count. It's gonna have to be what it's gonna be. Alyssa needs a hot start. Kalia needs a hot start. And she had another hot start with giving you 15 in the first half, and then she went on to give you 8 in the second half. So she improved from game 1 to game 2, trying to put together 2 good halves for the entirety of the game. And y'all like 80% of the offense, so it's imperative. Y'all don't have room for having bad games. Unfortunately, if you are the Phoenix Havers, y'all 80% of the points, rebounds, and assists for the entirety of y'all squad. So y'all have to ingratiate it in y'all brain, tattoo it on your heart. We need a hot start, and we need an even hotter finish. Or you just gonna have to hope for a night where Chelsea Gray and Asia both play historically horrible. Outside of that, you gotta find a way to put together 2 great halves. Until you do that, we will now deem and acknowledge you as the Phoenix Halfers. And that's really just the appetizer that's just the appetizer to game 2. Game 3 really and truly was all you could ever be, all you could ever think of being about Jackie Young. Jackie Young game high 32 points, and the most critical accumulation of that 32 was the 21 she scored in the third quarter. Yes, you heard me correctly. There was no glitch, no error, nothing wrong with your speaker. She dropped a 21 ball in the third quarter. Jackie Young, absolutely sensational. Bouncing back from a bad game 1 performance, not really shooting the ball that great. 8 of 11, 72% shooting from the field in that third quarter. Pretty much like go look in the dictionary of like can't miss, and like that's Jackie Young in the third quarter, which allowed for the Aces to just have their way, pull away, and at that point it was really much like, yo, anybody give you a 21-point quarter and it's off to the races. So go back to when I said the Aces have too much firepower. Asia gives you a 20-point half. And Jackie Young follows up the third quarter, not the whole half, but just the third quarter. She follows up a 20-point half by Asia. She follows up the third quarter with a 21-point quarter. Come on, bro. If that ain't firepower, then what is it? Like, what are we talking about, bro? The Ace, that is why I picked them to win this series. They have entirely too much firepower, man. In that game, Jackie, like I said, again, she finished with 32 points, 8 rebounds, leads the Aces to a 2-0 lead. And game 3, I think I think the Aces have come too far. I think they too locked in to lay down for game 3. I can see them laying down for game 4 to finish in 5. But game 3, I think, is going to really, really be the ultimate test of can you put together 2 good halves, that being for the Phoenix Halfers, formerly known as the Phoenix Mercury.